everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back to our Straight Talk League. We're back for a new amazing season and a new tournament ahead of us. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Rivaldo Kavanga and I'll be your moderator for today's session. Before we head off to our debate, there are some rejuvenated changes to our debate, and this isn't the same ordinary debate you know. To let you know that this is how our debate will go. We'll have 2 to 3 representatives from each school, but only one learner will debate. We'll have a one-on-one debate, kind of like a presidential debate system. The technical procedures are as follows. The debater from the proposition side will have a total of 7 minutes. 4 minutes to give their opening speech, and the floor will be open for POIs, point of information, at 1 minute, and this will be indicated by a single clap. And the POI closes at 3 minutes, giving the proposition learner 1 minute to conclude. Within this time, the opposition speaker is advised to ask questions in an appropriate manner, no continuous disturbances. After the opposition speaker will come in to give their opening speech as well, and the same procedures apply. The proposition speaker will then have 3 minutes again to give their closing speech, and then the opposition speaker will do the same. Point of informations are closed in the segment as the time is allocated to concluding of the debate and giving of reply speeches. So in the closing speech, there will not be point of information. In total, each speaker has 7 minutes to the entire debate. We also have an open competition available, the Public Choice Award. This award goes to the debater that receives the most comments and shares on Facebook and Instagram. So you can comment the name of the debater and share this debate on your Instagram and Facebook story by tagging the debater, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, and also tagging my zone in your story. And the debater that gets the most shares and the most comments wins the competition. Stay tuned as we begin for our debate. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Now the moment we have all been waiting for. Today for team proposition, we have Omar representing Windhoek High School. From team proposition, we have Mariana from Hage Geingob High School. The Deputy Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Honorable Emma Theophilus, has tabled a motion in the National Assembly seeking for the amendment of the tax laws that will allow for the imposing of the tax exemption on all menstrual hygiene products. The move is aimed at making sanitary pads affordable to women and the girl child. This is where it becomes interesting now. The motion for today reads that this House rejects the tax-free pad bill tabled in Parliament. The floor is open for the proposition speaker to come give his opening speech, and the floor is also open to all the viewers to drop your comments. We'd also like to hear what you have to say beneath this. Thank you.
My name is Omar Shikwa, and I'll be explaining. I'll be the first speaker for Team Proposition on VIS's side to explain the motion that states that this House will reject the tax-free pad bill being tabled in Parliament. So just to start off, I'm gonna first be explaining this motion, and then I'll be moving on into my arguments. So firstly, what we need to understand about the motion is that currently the hygienic products are being taxed 15% by government. So we are talking, so in the motion it also states that these are specifically pads. So we need to understand is that a lot of ladies in schools miss school, and they have problems because they can't really afford these sanitary pads and these hygiene products. So we also need to understand that it was recently tabled throughout the course of this year in Parliament. So now I'll be moving on to my first argument. So we need to understand, so we as Team Proposition are going to come to this debate in an economic standpoint. We believe that as Team Proposition that, not charging a tax on these pads and these hygienic products will close down one of our main income streams, and in a general sense could make Namibia a bit more poor. So obviously we need to understand is that no tax means no income. And so when companies charge tax government charges tax in order to make money for political to help the population with general necessities. We need to understand is that government charges tax so that they have an income to help out with the expenses and try and promote development and try and try and develop the country in a general. It's an income stream, one of the main income streams that a government has. So we believe that this is so not charging tax brings no income. So with companies like Namibia closing down, and Namibia into 60% with Chinese states, and government having a lot of sectors being closed down and declaring a lot of bankruptcy, we believe that that not charging tax is going to cause a problem to this economy. We believe that because I'll be with you now. We believe that because people are not because we are not getting in money, that this is making the situation even more worse. And Namibia needs money in order to provide basic services like education and to keep the standard. So in a normal pack, we need to understand is in a normal pack of $20, 15% would be 3. So according to sources from my mother and a lot of women, the cheapest pack you could get would be $20 and 3% would be $3. So not charging tax would basically mean that minusing the $3 to 70. This should be all right.
Okay. So are you okay with living in a world where girls can't go to school because of their menstruation?
We're not okay in living with a world where girls cannot go to school, but what we need to understand is the more and more we close the income streams, these girls might not even, a government might not even have enough money to pay for these girls to go to school. We need to understand is that a lot of girls who can't even afford pads and these basic hygiene products, they most possibly can't even go to university because they can't afford it. So this is the reason why we need every single little bit of tax so that government can make an income to try and better the situation, so that government can try and make that situation better. So we will also understand is that charging these taxes might not even have an effect. And we are saying this because we need to understand is that tax is supposedly making products cheaper, but we don't believe in that, because we need to look at tax as a basic share. 15% of a product or 15% of an amount of a product is what's going to government. So just because you take away this just because government says we're not going to charge this anymore won't make the price lower. As a matter of fact, companies can actually look at this as making more money for themselves. And by reducing tax, it's basically reducing government's share, and $3 would not, $3 out of a cheapest 20 pack with 10 would not really make a difference, because companies will still go into. So it means more money for the government. So I will be explaining this a bit further into my debate, but we are technically trying to say that closing down Namibian income streams will not benefit the country at all. And with that, I would like to propose.
Okay, that was the opening speech from the proposition side. Before we head over to our opposition side, I'd just like to make this clear to our debaters. When you hear me clap once, it means the floor is open for POIs. When I clap twice, it means that the floor is closed for POIs, and continuous claps means that your time is up and that you should round off. So now for the proposition side, we have Mariana from Hage Geingob Secondary School. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand that every penny counts. This entire idea of removing tax or only having 3% of tax won't make a difference is particularly false, because we see that if a woman hands Emma Theophiles, somebody who has the experience of one, having a menstruation, and two, personally entering a store and purchasing these pads, if she sees that 3% VAT or no VAT at all will make a difference, who are we to say anything else? Personally, I agree with her, because as a female who has a menstruation and as a female who has been in the store, who knows the prices of pads, I feel like 3% VAT or no VAT at all will make a big difference, and thus there will be more access to girls so that they can get the sanitary pads, right? But moreover, let me first attack what they spoke about, right? They came here bringing it more on an economic level, on how we close down main income streams and whatnot. We see that 3% or 15% VAT tax removed from the government wouldn't necessarily cause a harm to them. It won't cause down mainstreams, because it's only 3%. They have the money. They're just keeping it away from us, panel. We see that it is government's mandate to then provide necessities for its citizens, because as a government, that is something that you should do, panel, right? Moreover, even this no tax and 3% tax, right? We are okay with what Emma Theophiles brought to the table. In fact, we are more than okay to just say that government should basically make pads free, because it's a mandate. Just as condoms are free, panel, we say that if condoms are free, why shouldn't pads be free, right? And even if you really look at it, there are condoms in every single hospital, but those boxes are full. People are not using it. Why doesn't the government just give the people something that they'll actually use? Condoms are free, but teenage pregnancy is still on an all-time high. We see that is particularly problematic, because clearly the government would rather spend money on something that they know the people won't use, so that they spend less, instead of fulfilling their mandate as a government. It's something you should do, panel. This entire sham of the government is broke. We don't believe it. I would say 5 years ago, I would probably feel pity for the government, panel. But after Fishrod, I don't care about the government anymore, because the government has money. They just want to keep it for themselves. And that is particularly problematic. Keep on telling me that the government doesn't have money. That's just a lie, because if they didn't have money, where did this Fishrod money come from, right? We see that it's problematic. The government only has money for themselves and not for the people.
So you say that government has money. So if government has money, why couldn't they just buy the pads and give it to the children?
Panel, we live in a world where our government is so greedy. They would rather take the money and put it in their own pockets. Having this debate, we are then putting some sort of pressure on them to let them know that you have failed us. Government, you have failed me as a girl. I have to sit home because I can't afford pads. When we feel that is problematic, we have to put pressure on our governments to let them know that they are not fulfilling their mandates. The money is there, but schools aren't being built, hospitals aren't being built. The least they can do is give pads for free, or at least reduce the tax. That's all we are asking them for. We're not asking for much, right? And moreover, just in general, as I was talking about the condoms, we see that teenage pregnancy is still on an all-time high, but condoms are for free. That clearly shows that people are not using them. But if they were giving pads for free, obviously you wouldn't enter a hospital and find the box full, because that is a necessity, right? We are trying to incentivize our government to give us what they should give us as a government, right? We see that the money is there. They have money for trips, but they don't have money for pads, and that is particularly problematic. We do not like girls being at home without going to school because of their menstruation. We are completely against it, and now we are calling the government to make a choice. Either they accept the tax-free pad bill, or they give pads for free. That's the only thing we're giving them. We're not giving them any other alternative, because they have failed us enough. And with that, I'm proud to propose. Whew. You see, I told you. I'm feeling hot.
Okay, I'm sure everyone watching is super excited. I mean, sitting there, I was literally getting goosebumps from our proposition speaker's speech and our opposition speaker's speech. I mean, brilliant minds, indeed brilliant minds. But now we're heading over to the closing speech from the proposing team. We now give the floor to the proposing team.
Okay. So team proposition comes up here saying that government does not have money to government has money and they're just keeping it for themselves. But we believe that this is not true, because if government has money, why couldn't they just provide these products without reducing tax? Why couldn't they just give these products directly to the children? We also believe that if government tries to keep the money from themselves, if government has money and so many things, why are companies being closed down? Why are companies like Namibia being liquidated? Why are we in debt of 60%? And it's not the reason. It's not because they're trying to keep it from themselves. We do agree that the government has not been running the country in a sociable way. But with the current status quo and with the current way that Namibia is in the economy, we believe that it is not necessary to not charge to reduce the tax from these products. So we believe that team proposition also comes up here talking or saying, trying to give the debate as if it's government that has the power that's selling these products. What we need to understand is that it's the private sector, a lot of private companies that are selling these products. And all that government has the right of or entitled to is the 15% of what they make off that. So even though government were to reduce their 15%, it doesn't mean that companies will make these things cheaper for people to buy. We also need to look at what the problem is, and the problem is that people can't afford and mothers can't afford basic sanitary pads for their children. So we do not see as cutting tax, cutting an income as a viable solution to this. We rather see of charging tax for people who can afford, to create jobs for these same people so that they can help their children to try and afford these basic sanitary products. We also believe that if even though government reduces their tax, companies will still have their products high, because they're basically just giving out their share. And we can see that countries like South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania have removed the 15%, but prices were still reasonably high. So we as team proposition do not believe that we as team proposition do not believe against women not getting pads. We believe that at the moment not charging tax will be bad for the economy and the harm in which we're in. Thank you.
Okay, that was the closing speech from the proposition side, from Oma from Windhoek High, and I must quite say that these kids are going at one another. I mean, this is like actually watching the debate in Parliament. This is how interesting it is. This is how informative it actually is. I'm sitting here and I'm just learning so much. But do stay tuned as the opposing team gives their closing speech now. Thank you so much. Mariana, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand that the only reason why our government is seen as bankrupt or why Namibia is being liquidated is because for some reason they are still trying to keep the money for themselves. During the fish rod scandal, the people have billions and billions of dollars in their bank accounts and they tell us the bank is closed. Why is that bank account closed? Take the money and fulfill your mandate. The only reason why, because Namibia is being liquidated, the amount of money in Shaki Shankala's account or anybody's account is enough to make sure that Namibia isn't been liquidated. So we feel like the only reason why the government isn't fulfilling its mandate is because of greed. And this is something that we're trying to get rid of in today's debate, right? We have to apply pressure on our governments so that they fulfill their mandate. We are tired of listening to people saying, no, we don't have money, we don't have money. Next minute you see a minister is in China. How did he get there if they don't have money? We say that is particularly problematic, panel, and that is something that we have to deal away with, right? They also said something that actually was more important, like removing this 50% won't necessarily mean that the won't necessarily make a difference, or that doesn't mean that the pads will be free, right? But like I said in my opening speech, I said that if a woman can see this 15% as a difference, we feel like it's okay because a woman has an experience, he's a man, he doesn't have the experience, right? We see that the 15% less tax would then make a difference, and at least some people, some women will be able to have accessibility and affordability to this particular thing. They would rather live in a world where girls stay at home and aren't going to school because they want the economy to boom. Let me tell you something, proposition. Namibia will never boom for as long as our governments remain greedy and keep the money for themselves, right? Because if you wanted the economy to boom, you would have been on our side and supporting that we apply pressure on our governments to fulfill their mandates. Like I said before, schools aren't being built. Hospitals aren't being built. The least they can do is provide pads so that our girls can go to school and become future leaders, panel. This is something that we have to understand, right? But moreover, we see that pads, as a female, I stand by this, right? And pads are a necessity. Our government should stop using money on things that aren't necessary and start focusing and helping people on the ground, right? We are tired of hiding behind the whole idea that they are broke while they had the money. If they were broke, fish rod wouldn't exist. And personally, I won't be surprised if another scandal comes out. Our government has money and they have to start using this for important things. And like I said before, it's either we support Ematofeles or we give pads for free. We want our government to buy pads from those private sectors and give it to the girls at schools because it's their mandate and they have to do it because they are our government, because we voted for them to help our young girls go to school. Thank you.
That was the closing speech from the opposition team, and I must say it was a fiery one. I would just like to appreciate both teams here today because I mean they did exceptionally well. They both came out with a really logical way of thinking, and I must present their findings and how they represented everything. But now we'll head over to the judges for them to conclude and for them to announce a winner. But for this round, I really don't think there was a winner or loser, even though there will be a winner and a loser. But I don't think there was such a thing because, I mean, they both came up with really great facts and with a really great way of thinking. So stay tuned after the break, please. Ja. Kan ik goed toezoeken? Oh. Kan ik receive your mic is on.
Oh. Right, that was quite an interesting debate from both sides. We had a proposition bench that advocated for an economical stance of thing, that how we need the money from the taxes that we get from pets, and we had an opposition bench that advocated for rights and how the government has the mandate to provide these rights. So basically, it came down to strategy and which team had a better strategy from both teams, right? The proposition guys were saying, even though we do cut these taxes down, at the end of the day, they still won't be accessible towards everyone. And they give us examples of Kenya, Tanzania, where there was this, where they cut down the tax, but still the accessibility issue wasn't one that was fixed. And we had an opposition bench that advocated for the rights of the girl child, that talked about how the government does have the money, and if they can provide condoms for free, then they might as well provide the pets for free. So I'll first start announce who was the best picker, the winning team, and then the best picker, and then give reasons as to why. So the winning team for today's debate was Team Proposition Windhoek High. The reason why they were the winning team is because they had a better strategy of both. They showed us, one, we are in a pandemic, businesses are being closed down, and we need all the funds that we need in order to create jobs so that these kids as well can have money and government can fund for the education of these kids. But furthermore, they tackled the accessibility aspect of things, where they talked about even though if you do cut down these taxes, the private sector or the businesses will just might as well increase the price so they can maximize the profits they gain from that. As such, you still don't fix and you still don't address the accessibility issue. You still have girls who don't have, who are unable to go to school because of their menstruation and because they don't have pets. The reason why opposition fell short was that they didn't really address the accessibility aspect of it. Well, they talked about how government can provide these things for free and how a woman knows if it will make a difference, but they did not substantially show to us how they would have accessibility once you cut down these rates. The best speaker for today's debate was Omar Shivikwa from Team Windhoek High. Yes. So this brings us to the end of the first debate.
What an awesome debate. What we clearly saw here today was that our young people in schools are actually aware of what's happening around them. And they each have their different opinions, but I would say logical opinions to different solutions that the government can oppose. I think what was also set out here today is the government to start listening to young people more. I mean, have these debates, go to school, inquire the youth on certain issues that do affect them, and not just have this discussion in parliament. I think we can also probably include our two debaters here in parliament to hear them speak on the debate. But then thank you so much for the speakers. I loved it. It was amazing. I'm sure it was insightful. All our viewers learned something. All the people here in studio also learned something from you today. We do hope to see you. This isn't the end, of course. You know, it's a tournament. There are going to be loads of other competitions out there for you guys to come back and redeem yourself. But then all the best. Thank you so much for watching to all our viewers. My name is Rivaldo Kavanga and I was your moderator for today's debate.